Do.
All right, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in this fabulous world of ours. Welcome to the Train the Trainer program information session. Just a quick reminder for those of you on logistics, the chat, keep blowing it up. We're so excited to see you and connect with you. If you have questions for us as we go through today's webinar, please use the Q&A because that allows us to grab your question and be able to address it. What is said in the chat disappears in the chat. So rather than throwing your questions in the constant stream of consciousness, place it in the Q&A so that we'll be able to address it and make sure that all of your questions are answered. We're also streaming into Facebook Live. So those of you who are catching us through Facebook, welcome, welcome. We're so excited. When this webinar is over, we will post an FAQ, frequently asked questions document with a link to the replay for all to access. So greetings, iPEC coaches, and welcome to the Train the Trainer webinar. My name is John Bond, and Sherri Gerek is my amazing partner. And you probably know us from webinars and from modules. And we are honored and excited to have you set aside some time to spend with us here today. So I expect a lot of iPEC coaches to continue streaming in, and a lot of graduates are here, and so nice to reconnect. So thank you for joining us. We'll have up to an hour today to give you an overview of our ideal image of an iPEC lead trainer. We'll also share some information about the Train the Trainer program and how it works. And then, of course, answer any questions that you might have. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started. So my name is John Bond, and I am the Director of Faculty Development for iPEC. My role is to oversee and support the ongoing training and development of the iPEC faculty team, which consists of trainers, mentor coaches, final exam assessors, webinar presenters, and module support coaches. So my role really is to ensure that everyone on the team is aligned energetically with the content, and that iPEC's programs are delivered with fidelity consistently so that students and clients have amazing learning experiences. So I'm going to pass you over to my dear friend Sherri to introduce herself.
And hello, welcome, everyone. Thanks, John. I'm Sherri Gerek, Chief Academic Officer for iPEC, and my role is to set and hold the high academic standards and policy for iPEC. And I work in concert with our leadership team to expand our consciousness company beyond what we do in the coach training program. That includes organizational training and development, and new for 2022, our conscious community. All of those elements support our mission, which, as you know, iPEC coaches, is to raise the consciousness of the world, one person at a time. We do that with conscious inclusion at every level of our organization. Our trainers are the calling card of iPEC, and we look for energetic alignment in all areas. So let's move into some basic logistics questions to set the stage here today. So what is the role of the lead trainer? Well, as the face of iPEC, the lead trainer walks the talk by embodying the principles we teach and by demonstrating deep alignment with iPEC's mission of raising the consciousness of the world. The lead trainer delivers content during the live classroom modules of iPEC's coach training program. There are also webinars that are led by the trainers, student tutoring on occasion. We have corporate training opportunities, and we lead events in our conscious community. Those events include what will be new continuing coach education courses this year. We have coach supervision events, kind of like what you did during your Mod 2 experience, and all things related to the work of our WHO, evoking awareness to raise consciousness. That is the great underlying mission, and everything we do supports that mission. Our lead trainers are excellent coaches and educators who are entertaining. They possess the ability to effectively manage the energy in the classroom. The lead trainer interacts with IPEC's operations, finance, admissions, and curriculum teams. Therefore, it's not just about leading in the classroom. We're looking for the full package here. Those highly engaged and anabolic leaders who are closely aligned to IPEC's mission. We want self-starters who are independent and self-sufficient, who are a pleasure to partner with and aligned, again, with IPEC's mission. Being an IPEC trainer differs greatly from what most consultants and facilitators are used to. Most are used to delivering certain material or training that a corporation wants their employees to have. At IPEC, it's all about engagement. Our students don't have to be here, they're choosing to be here, and they hold us to very high standards, as we do for ourselves. Some students will challenge and push back hard. You may be rocking their world by sharing the foundation principles with them, and they feel the walls of their long-held beliefs start to rock and maybe even crumble. Beliefs they've had about themselves and the world begin to crack. It's important that an IPEC trainer has a strong, healthy ego. And this is not about being the center of attention, not at all. You are simply the conduit for others to do their deep inner personal work. And if by chance you've moved past ego altogether and left judgment behind, none of what happens in the classroom will ever rock you. So being an IPEC lead trainer to me is the most rewarding work imaginable. And if you have a passion for coaching and training others, you speak and present professionally, and you're highly anabolic, this seems like a good fit for you. We would love to have you apply. Over to you, John.
You know, what's really amazing is that learning in the learning environment is a two-way street. We learn just as much from our students as they learn from us. You know, this isn't a sage on the stage who comes in and imparts all their wisdom and knowledge and skills. That is the last thing that we're looking for. We're not looking for that. We're looking for someone who partners with their students in their growth and development, whatever it looks like for them. And I would like to share with you an example of a student and how the resistance actually helped one of our trainers become a version of themselves and move things to a whole nother level. So at the very beginning of the program, the lead trainer had shared that during that very first module, there was a student who had a very strong objective to some of the principles being taught, to some of the activities that were being done. There was a lot of dissonance that they were experiencing. As a result, there was a lot of pushback. And pushback is pretty common in the classroom as people are being stretched beyond their life's patterns and shared experiences and start seeing things from another way and the possibilities that things could be seen in a different way. And what was really interesting is the trainer shared that during that interaction with that student, they held space and honored the student's experience. So as a result, the trainer knew that growth happened over time. It's not just because you learn something today that you grow and evolve and shift and everything is different moving forward. It's part of a process. And the students' reactions in the classroom in that moment was part of their process in that moment. The trainer, and every trainer knows that, every interaction and reaction has value. We are constantly placing ourselves and our students on their growth edge, on the edge of their level of comfort. And what was really cool to see, and I've actually seen this in multiple students' experiences, by the end of the program, where they were when they came in Mod 1 is light years in a different space where they are by the end of the program, just because of the awareness. And instead of trying to shift it and make it better and fix the situation so everyone is happy, allowing the student to sit and experience what they're experiencing and process through it. Remember, when we're talking about core energy coaching, we're connecting with the thoughts and emotions that are coming up in the moment. And in that moment, that student is experiencing a trigger. And as they begin to understand what their trigger is, that's where the growth begins. Awareness is just that first glimpse into another possibility. So if you remember that foundation principle that everyone that we meet is a teacher and our student, we all learn from one another. So as the trainer held space for that student, as I mentioned earlier, and had to, because they were triggering themselves, actively release the tension that was creating within them so that they could be fully present and support the student in that moment. Through the interactions with that student, the trainer learned about their own triggers, their own patterns of judgment, and how they would sometimes take on the energy of others. The interactions with that student helped raise the consciousness of the trainer as a result of that interaction. Now, the beauty of this is, we may not learn and have our moments simultaneously. Trainers hold the space for the students in the moment so the students have their growth edge and can experience it in a very safe and supportive environment. But after the module, at the end of the day or during the break, now the trainer can go, here's what just happened. Wow, I never realized how judgment or this pattern was showing up. Now that raises to awareness, gets placed on the back shelf for the trainer to continue doing their own work and their own growth moving forward. Trainers don't just teach coaching. They are partners in consciousness. Trainers and students grow and evolve together. And the beauty of this is forever changed. Every interaction that we have with a student changes us. Every interaction that students have with one another changes each other. Every interaction the students have with us changes them. But the reason that is so powerful and that happens is because of the space, the non-attachment, and the safety for that consciousness and awareness to grow. So as we think about trainers that are able to create that type of environment, I'd like to share with you just some of the things that we look for in our trainers so that they can hold that space for students and keep their attention for 30 hours in a training week. Just saying that those weekends can be long.
That's no small thing. Yeah.
It is no small thing. But what's really amazing is that it is energizing and fun for the trainer when you're coming in with the mindset to support the students in that experience. So some of the things that we look for is we look for trainers who are able to deliver an outstanding student experience in the classroom. During our webinars, different points of contact. And so we're asking that, we have trainers that are dedicated to being prepared, to be engaging, realizing that death by Zoom is a real thing. And if you're staring at a screen, I just felt a collective sigh and energy here. It's engaging students, keeping them connected, keeping them on the edge of the seat and connected with you in the back and forth and the dialogue that is taking place. Trainers that are fully present and engaged in every moment as it unfolds. So I'll tell you, it's not about performance. It's about the connection and the depth of engagement interaction that brings that Zoom or that in-person experience to life. We also look for our trainers to be exceptional coaches, to be able to demonstrate a high level of mastery in their coaching demos. Now, you all know as graduates and you have your credentials and you have your coaching clients, you begin to, as you leave coach training, develop the art of coaching and the way that we can finesse the way that we ask our empowering questions and the ways that we can support our clients as they're moving forward. We challenge our trainers as they go through this program to strip away the art, really get to the foundations, because remember, before students can develop the art, it's important that they have the foundation to be able to do so. So that I think is one of the biggest growth edges for every new trainer coming in, is getting it down to the skills that the students are learning, knowing where the students are in their journey, and then providing modeling what the students are expected to know and be able to do in that moment based on where they are in that moment. So we'll support our trainers as they go through that process and give them opportunities to really hone in their coaching skills and strip it down to that basic level, because it doesn't matter if you are if you want to jump in and become a cook, become a dancer, become an artist, before you can move into the creative elements of that, we need that foundation of the basics. And so we strip back and get down to the basics. And I tell you what that'll end up doing for you as a trainer is it really anchors and strengthens your coaching skills at a very deep level. We also expect and want our trainers to be powerful connectors who are authentic, that are engaging and professional. And by that, I mean, it's not taking a content or reading a script and just imparting it. How do you bring it alive? How do you bring self and client experiences into this in a really authentic way? So students, as you're teaching a concept, are going, oh my goodness, I see that at home. I have someone that I'm interacting with that's doing that. I do it myself. So it's moving beyond just the content, but being able to deliver it in a way that is not only engaging for the students to grow, because we want to educate the students, we want to engage the students, we want to bring in energy into the way we deliver, and also a level of entertainment so that it's fun, so that people enjoy the time. And that's where you'll have students that will get to the end of a Zoom webinar at the end of a 10-hour day or the end of a 10-hour in-person day. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's over already? I can't believe that we just went through 10 hours. Well, of course, because you were engaged, you were involved, you were having fun. The trainer's having fun, the students having fun, the back and forth, time just melts away, and they have a really powerful experience that everyone gets to engage in. We mentioned students triggering. So we want trainers who are confident in their own energy. It's very self-aware. So that not only are they able to manage their own energy, but also the energy of the classroom. So if the students are experiencing a dip in energy and we're seeing a lull, how do they intuitively shift that energy and bring it back up into a flow? If there's catabolic energy that's taking place, to what degree are they recognizing it and engaging or addressing it before it can move into any particular direction? So as we're looking at delivering content, it's being able to be fully aware of self, fully aware of the class, and fully aware of the content that we're delivering all at the same time. So it's kind of like that concept of holographic thinking, your head, your heart, and your gut. It's you, the class, and the content also all happening simultaneously. Also, we would encourage, and we also require our trainers to maintain their expertise in iPEC's coach training program. We'll have ongoing training. We have required monthly trainer meetings where we develop skills, we learn something new, we share information, we even sometimes have conversations with Bruce. And one of the things that we're doing right now with our lead trainers, which is so much fun, is we're having amazing conversations around consciousness. So those of you who had a chance to go into the conscious community and do the conscious live events, we're doing some similar things with the trainers, and it's really amazing watching the collective consciousness of the trainers grow and evolve over time. So there's in a nutshell what we're looking for in our trainers, but it's one of those situations where you never arrive. You're always in a growth process, constantly learning and evolving. And so we support one another in that journey. I'm going to pass it over to you, Sherri.
All right. So for those of you that are not aware, the ICF recently updated their core competencies for the first time since inception. And what we notice is the competencies changed in a way that actually look much more like core energy coaching. Deeper focus on coaching the who, getting to the energy of a situation. So we're absolutely delighted by the changes that have come. So we are looking for core energy coaches that are staying up with the competencies. And those are things that we work with on our lead trainers as well to make sure that you are staying current in all of the things that you need. Well, we teach the ICF core competencies. It's part of what's required as an accredited coach training program by the ICF. And we're most interested in where that intersects with iPEC's core energy coaching philosophy and our proprietary methodology, core energy coaching. So this role is ongoing development of self and others, is coaching, it's teaming, it's having plenty of fearlessness and courage, integrity. It's how you identify and represent our brand. iPEC the brand out there in the world. You're building relationships, and all of these things require confident, eloquent speakers, proficiency with time management skills, and a sense of playfulness and humor. When it comes to the practical side of things, we're seeking fellow coaches who are certified. If you're not yet a fully certified iPEC coach and ELI MP, you're not quite ready. So this might be something for you down the road. Again, we're looking for not only certified, but very experienced trainers that can come in and lead based on their experience out there in the world doing this thing called coaching. You must be a current ICF PCC or MCC credential holder if you're going to be leading events around the US. We do have some modifications that we allow for global trainers, and that's just because the global market for us is pretty new. We've only been outside of the US since about 2012 when we started in the UK. So we do have some modifications there. You must be an ICF member in good standing, have an active coaching practice, or you're actively practicing coaching on a daily basis. Ideally, you're an active ELI user. It's our proprietary assessment tool. And of course, we have big focus on that in Mod 3. So we want trainers that are very proficient in the use of it. We're looking for an amazing presence in the front of the classroom. Those that have an awareness of cultural differences, that are open and accepting of all students. Those that have an ability to commit to weekend travel and hours for in-person training. You know what the commitment is. You were there as a student. A trainer's commitment is even more because, of course, there's setup, there's tear down, there's all the things that happen in between. And if you're in person, it includes pre and post travel. So we are really looking for those of you who are ready to be a trainer and you have the ability to deliver training in a dynamic, clear, and engaging communication style. That's it. I'll kick it back to you, John.
Okay. Well, actually, I want to ask you a quick question.
Okay.
Now, what, if any, differences are there for those international trainers?
Right. All right. So just to go a little bit more in detail there, we're looking for local trainers in the markets where we are doing training. So currently it's the Netherlands, Singapore, the UAE, UK, and down the road, possibly will be in India, Australia, the African continent. All of that's yet to be determined, but growth is our plan, and international growth is certainly what we're looking for. So we are seeking trainers that are bilingual, ideally those that can speak one of the major European languages, German, Spanish, French, or Italian. And all of our training is delivered in English at this time. So just know that is the way we'll continue to do training. Being in those international markets, however, we are looking for those that have the bilingual capability. And we recognize that internationally, this community, again, our community of graduates, which is where all of our trainers come from, is smaller. We've only been at it about 10 years internationally. So those of you who have not yet acquired a PCC, but you're actively working toward it, and you're actively coaching every day, you would need a minimum of 350 hours of coaching in order to apply, and then have a solid plan for how you're going to obtain a PCC during the training period, which is about five months total from the start of the Train the Trainer program. So we are looking for graduates who live in Europe or Asia with the right to work in the relevant countries we train in. So So some of the qualities and expectations of the lead trainers, John, tell us a little bit more about some of the logistics there for the Train the Trainer program, would you?
Absolutely. It's really a lot of fun, and it's a lot of hard work. It's like going through the PhD, not only of consciousness, but in training and development. Those of you who have a background in training are probably going to go, oh my goodness, this is so different from what I've ever experienced. Because don't forget, as we're learning the content, we're also raising the consciousness of our trainers and learning how to do that with the students. It's more than just the words that we share. It's the presence that we bring. So as you think about the Train the Trainer program, it is a paid full-time temporary commitment for 5 months. So we're looking at starting around July 7th with orientation and onboarding, and it will continue through the end of November into early December. And during this time, trainers are going to go through 3 weeks of intensive training where they're going to learn iPEC's entire curriculum and immediately begin working with lead trainers in the classroom to build their confidence and receive specific feedback along the way. The program really does set participants up for success with ongoing support every step of the way. And so the reason we've tried the full-time Train the Trainer program with a recent cohort, it was hugely successful because in that full-time window, and a full-time window is 40 hours a week, and typically Monday through Friday, unless you're teaching on the weekend. And during that time, it includes weekly and ongoing training, group practice, where participants will come together and they're going to practice sharing content, giving each other feedback. We'll have performance team exercises where the leads in training will deliver content to groups of people and get feedback. There's self-study time. There's going to be weekly training on content. So it's going to be embedded throughout the entire week. iPEC has a very thorough reflective practice and feedback loop. Participants in the program are going to regularly meet to go over feedback from their peers, from the lead trainers, from iPEC staff. And then at the end of every month, they'll look at the feedback that the students provide. All part of that goes into their individual development plan. The goals that they have to develop, not just their doing of becoming a trainer, but their being and presence. Because as you look at the way that this entire program is developed, the reason it's a PhD in consciousness and training is that not only are we focusing on the doing and the delivery, we're working on being, walking the talk, embodying the foundation principles, coming into a learning experience from a high level of energy. That's not a high level of excitement and happiness. From that anabolic place, level 5, seeing the opportunity in everything that comes up. Embracing ambiguity, embracing discomfort in the moment, and realizing there's some learning to come out of it. Because we will stretch you. We will put you in uncomfortable, in the moment situations where we may just say, hey, Sherry, I'd like you to teach X. You have 15 minutes, go. But how often do you find yourself you'll find yourself in a classroom and the students are going to ask a question that goes so much deeper than what the script just said. How are you going to respond in that moment? How do you hold your energy in that moment? And so it's not about finding the perfect trainer. It's about finding the perfect fit. Someone who has a growth mindset, someone who is willing to get messy and let things get untangled so that they can learn and grow and build. We build down, we tear down so we can build up. And then fully, I cannot emphasize enough. This is a full-time intensive experience, and it's designed to set trainers up for success on their trajectory towards becoming a lead in a live classroom. And that's the important piece. Every activity, everything that we do every single day builds towards the path of independence and confidence. If we get to the end of the program and that trajectory is not in alignment, that just because you complete the program doesn't mean you'll become a lead trainer. But we will be meeting with you as we go through the whole program to set you up for success and help and support as you begin to move in that direction. So Sherri, I'm going to pass it back to you so we can go over some logistics for application.
Sure. And what we have right now are two postings. There's both the global posting for lead trainer and the posting for those in North America. So I do see a couple questions popping up. Is Canada treated as an international? We really consider that part of our North American team. We've been training Canadian coaches since IPEC first began. And so you're part of the what we consider North American and US contingency, US and Canada. We do have the roles posted. You'll find the links in our follow-up information here. It's a direct link to our what's called Trackstar, used to be called Recruiter Box application process. You can apply anytime now and up through May 30th. And May 30th, the postings come down and everything is closed. We're looking for your resume or CV, which includes your coaching company information and website if you have one, or your LinkedIn profile, include any testimonials that you have. We're looking for the name of your IPEC trainers along with the training locations and your mentor coach, along with your Mod 3 training dates. Again, if you're a brand new coach and you've just gotten certified, you're not ready to be a trainer yet. We need you to go out, spend lots of time getting coaching experience out there in the world, and then come back to us and we'll look at it first, some point down the road. We also require a minimum of a CPC with IPEC and your ELI MP, and of course a PCC or an MCC credential with the ICF. We are accepting 5-minute engaging video. Briefly tell us who you are and why you would make a fantastic IPEC lead trainer. Make sure that this is an engaging video. It can be on anything that you like. You can do it in any way that you choose. If you're reading to me a script about who you are, it's just not engaging. Those generally don't make the first pass and you won't be called for an interview. So it needs to be engaging. I need to get a sense, and so does John, that you can engage and entertain a classroom. Even if you have something that you're sharing and you're reading it, you've got to be able to do it in a very engaging manner. Make sure that any video submissions that you upload are wide open with permissions. If it's something that requires us to get your permission to open, those generally get discarded as well. So don't have your application be denied for something minor like that. Just open the permissions in YouTube or whatever format you're sharing. Make sure that anyone can access and view your video. We also want you to upload either your ICF PCC or MCC credential to just make sure that's on file. If you move on to be offered a role as a lead trainer for IPEC, those do need to be maintained on file as part of an ICF requirement. So let's just shift now. Those are the basics of what you can expect as a trainer, the way that this program is laid out as a full-time 5-month commitment. And let's take some questions, John, and see what we can answer for everyone here.
All right, perfect. So Yuko asked, she said, I'm really interested in becoming a trainer in the future. Is it mandatory to be a PCC to go through the trainer training? Oh, that's a tongue twister. I'm currently applying to have my ACC. And so the PCC is required. As Sherri had mentioned, if you are based globally and you have at least 350 hours of your ACC, and you have a trajectory to complete your PCC within 5 to 6 months, by all means submit. If you're just now getting your ACC, there's still some time. Really get down, do some great coaching and get some experience, and we will have another train the trainer opportunity. We usually do it once a year. And because as we grow and expand, there will constantly be additional needs as we move along. So if the timing is not right today, 6 months, 9 months from now, you might see another announcement. Just saying.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, we are really looking for trainers that are at the top of their game with a lot of experience. If you take yourself back to the training classes that you've been a part of, the person standing at the front of the room is required to have great expertise, depth of experience that can be expanded on and shared when students ask, how would I address this in real life? Or what would I possibly use this tool for? How would this even come up in a coaching session? If you're a brand new coach and you haven't had much worldly experience in all manner of ways, you're probably not ready to be an IPEC lead trainer. So I'll just say that again. Again, we do have some exception for international because those markets are new and we haven't been overseas all that much. So we know that we don't have certified coaches that have been doing this for 20 years, where here in North America, we do. I'll take that next question here. The question from Nishandra, and I hope I've pronounced your name correctly, Nishandra Mercer. How much, if any, prioritization is given to applicants who have a training background? And there, I would say very little, actually. Because again, what we're doing through IPEC, it's not about facilitating one way information and putting that up as far as, a straight up training in what most people traditionally see training to be. And that is a one-way delivery of information. At IPEC, it's all about engagement, high engagement. And it's almost an undoing of any other learning you've had when it comes to facilitation and training. So we don't see that as highly important, other than we are also looking for people that are very dynamic, engaging, that are great speakers, that feel confident standing in front of a room of 50 strangers. So that is part of it as well. Yeah. Over to you, John.
All righty. There are a couple of questions around particular markets, so I'm going to pull those together.
Okay.
So what about Canada? Absolutely, we'd love to have trainers from every country. Right now, we don't have an in-person location, but we are teaching in time zones. And so we can definitely look at trainers from from every country, including Canada. There's a question about China. And as we grow and expand, those different locations will start to uncover as we're building up our presence in some of the Asian and the European markets and in the UAE. Naturally, as you start to build presence, the expansion will come. That will often come with time. And then finally, what are the locations in the US? And so Sherri, jump in if you want to add to this. But our targets right now is we're now moving into our new iteration of presence post-pandemic. We have West Coast, we have Central US, and we have East Coast. So yeah. Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Austin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the locations today. We also teach in person in the Netherlands. And right now that's it. And we'll, I imagine, continue to expand those. We're also going to be looking at potentially doing some pop-up locations, depending on what's required of organizations and so forth. We're going to be doing some training in Switzerland for a special group that's coming up in the next 60 days. So we've got some unique opportunities there too. And that's quite a bit different than what it looked like pre-pandemic, but that's where we're starting right now. Let's see, what else have we got here? Stacy Small asks, are there known 2023 start dates for the program? Module 3 for my class occurs end of this year, so I will not be eligible until 2023. And so there too, Stacy, it's one thing to get your certification. Your LPT was a kickoff for when you can begin accruing hours towards your PCC credential. So you've got some time to go before you would qualify for a PCC credential and accrue those hours. So yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be eligibility for this program. Yeah.
And
Go ahead,
all
John.
right, I'll take Bob's question. Looking for clarity around the 5-month full-time training at 40 hours a week. I'm trying to envision how one maintains serving current clients during that time frame. Can you comment on this? How will the recent group who were full-time intensive trainers manage their current clients? So this is a big commitment. And because we're looking at full-time, if you are working a full-time job, then it's going to be a challenge to go through this program because we have training times and specific activities and assignments that are due throughout the course of the week. Trainers that went through the full-time intensive with the last cohort cleared their schedule. They took on the weekends they weren't training, they had some clients, they navigated some time to make sure that they can keep some of their client working. There was a decision that needed to be made. When you think about their vision for their business and what they want it to look like, there was a commitment that was made to shelve some projects, shelve the expansion of the business so that they can set aside and dedicate the 40 hours a week to the training. And so that is a critical element because it is full-time paid and a very short window. So if you have ongoing, 3 days a week working with a corporate client, we won't be able to, then the timing for this particular program may not be a fit for you if you're not able to set aside the time in the time frames that the program is meeting, because we have a real specific objective of ramping up and getting folks prepared. So Sherri, what would you like to add to that? Because that is a real key consideration for anyone who's wanting to not only have work-life balance, but also balance the program with everything else that they have.
Yeah, there a couple of things come to mind, and that is just the basic coaching model, I think, has changed somewhat in that, many of our coaches no longer do an exclusive full-time coaching practice on their own. They may be doing some coaching with Lyra or BetterUp or Coach Hub or any of the other organizations that simply, send them coaching clients rather than doing their own. And those things, as I understand, can be adjusted. If it's strictly your own coaching clients and you have a full-time role or full-time position managing those clients, this wouldn't be the program for you, because it does require, as John said, all sorts.
Okay.
Start leading content. Oh, did I cut out there, John?
You cut out on the last 15 seconds.
Wonder what I was saying. It shifts when you're, from a 40-hour work week to when you're doing weekend trainings. Then it becomes, 30 hours in the classroom, and then that shifts the date. So it's having the flexibility to move things around somewhat, starting the process now, giving everyone a heads up until July 7th start date to be able to shift what you can. If this is something that you think you have a passion for and would be a good fit for you, perhaps you have the ability to move some things around. Other than that, if you're able to cover your clients on, non-working days, then that's a potential too. And that's what most of our last cohort did, is shifted things to coach their clients on a weekend as they were training during the week, and or coach during the week if they were doing weekend training modules. That would be up to you to be able to manage that. Yeah.
And the beauty is we give the schedules in advance. So folks entering into the program, once you're accepted, there is a calendar that has everything mapped out. What are the training dates? What are the activity times? When are things due? So that way you can keep the big picture. Also, the training weekends are set in advance, so you know what weekends you're teaching. And of course, work-life balance is critical. So if you are teaching on the weekend, the expectation is that you will take off time during the week for family and self-care, so you can recharge and continue working towards in your journey. Now, there is, as you click on that link and go and explore the job description, this is a full-time position with a monthly compensation of $4,800. And so that not only compensates you for the time in training, that also helps offset any shifts in revenue as you adapt during this transition period of going through the train the trainer process. And then once you become a part-time trainer, just like the rest, everything else can fall right back into its place.
Yeah, I see a question here from Ann McPherson. How long do you think a new coach should practice before applying? Once you have received your PCC, you will have acquired 500 hours is the minimum to apply for a PCC. If you have even many more hours than that, all the better. That just means you have a lot of coaching experience that you can draw from in the classroom. If it's anything less than that, you're probably, again, not ready to be an iPEC trainer, because we're looking for deep experience here to bring to the classroom experience. Yeah.
And Aditya asked a great question around the logistics of this 5-month period. Is it virtual, in person? What can we expect? And the train the trainer process is 100% virtual. So that way you can attend where you are. The events and our practice and our training times are going to be based on the Eastern time zone in the US, which may mean, folks in Singapore, Tokyo, may be going through some of their training activities in the middle of the night. But that's the only way that we can do this at that time. So just plan ahead. We've had trainers from all over the globe find a way to make their schedules fit. Actually had quite a few say in this last round, it actually worked perfectly for me, because I was able to take care of my family's needs. And then because I'm over in Europe, I could do my class I can work from this time till about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I had that whole next day to sleep, take care of my family's needs. And so you'll have the schedule, you'll know it's there, it's all virtual. So that way we minimize the time and your downtime.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Laura says, I understand that you want us to have a coaching practice up and running to apply. Does the full-time train the trainer program schedule allow for us to maintain the practice? I feel like we've just answered that with Bob's question. Is the training schedule set so we can work with clients during off times? You would definitely have some pretty big shuffling to do if you have a very full time roster. So if you are coaching 40 hours a week or something close to that, this might be a very difficult program for you to manage and be able to find places to do that. So, it's up to the individuals, Laura. I don't, be able to speak to that as far as how you manage your clients.
Let's see. Can you please explain in more detail what training looks like logistically? So we'll have 3 intensive weeks where in 1 week we learn the module 1 content. In another week, we learn the module 2 content. In another week, we learn the module 3 content. And you get really deep down into not just what we teach, but why we're teaching it the way that we are. And you'll have opportunities to practice and deliver and get feedback as you're going through that week. In between those trainings and then moving forward throughout the remainder of the monthly period, there is weekly training that takes place. There is weekly performance teams where everyone is assigned different segments to teach, and they teach those live and receive feedback. Then there are teams that get together and practice and give each other feedback throughout the training weekend. And typically folks in similar time zones often schedule the time that is convenient for them. But the logistics, there will be regularly scheduled training and performance activities. So, so you'll know how to plan around that the rest of your 40 hours. falls during the week.
Anonymous attendee asked, is there a coach tune-up program available to refresh our iPEC skills before applying? That's a great question. And if you join Conscious Community, you can get into any of the coaching supervision calls that are offered there and receive feedback. It's real similar to what you were experiencing during Mod 2 and what we called the small group coaching or fishbowl coaching, and that would get you some feedback. You can also get some mentoring on your coaching. That would be something I would recommend for those that have been maybe away from the iPEC training for a while, or you went through it many years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Questions around is training required over the weekend? It definitely is. And those of you that are familiar with our program, the majority, probably 90% of our training happens on the weekend. We offer a very small percentage of training midweek, but Friday and Saturday nights are not are out for Dahlia's observant of the Sabbath on Friday night and Saturday night. So that would mean that you wouldn't be eligible to do training for about 90% of our available dates, Dahlia. So it's not a practical role for you in that way. If something changes down the road where we start doing a lot more training during the week or in global markets, then it might make sense at that time. But currently, you wouldn't be eligible to do a lot of the training based on that requirement for yourself.
Yeah. Carolyn had asked about Canada and locations. And, so at this point, trainers that join us from Canada will be teaching during a time zone virtually. At this point, we don't have in-person locations set up in Canada. Just be aware, as we grow and expand, we used to have a location in Toronto. But we're not at that point right now as we emerge from this phase of life, and things, you never know what's going to happen a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, I see Renee. I hope I'm pronouncing that, Renee Ellison. Any other tips for the video application? We have seen all kinds of interesting and engaging videos come through. Coaches just talking to us about things that are important to them in their lives, how they incorporate coaching, the kind of work they're doing out there in the world. Whatever it is that you're sharing with us, how is that relevant to the work that you would be doing for iPEC? And why is this important to you? Why now? It can be anything that you like, just want it to be engaging. And so you may even take your video when it's done and share it with someone and get their feedback on it. That is the initial screening point. And so I've had people apply in the past and say, gosh, I didn't even get to discuss it with anybody. I just didn't even get an interview or a discussion. Know that every one of our trainers comes from our community, and they are iPEC graduates and alum, because we typically will get we've had anywhere from 100 to 750 applicants in any round that we've done of hiring. It's just not possible that we speak to every one of our graduates, as much as we would like to do that and spend time with all of you. The initial screening is the video. If it makes it past that, then we may, go on and look at other opportunities for an interview and so on. So we want to know that you can engage, that you can make it very interesting and make us want to pay attention for 30 hours in the classroom. So that is the first criteria, is an engaging video. So I hope that helps.
And Dahlia did ask about, she said Mcc accreditation. I believe she's referring to the MSc option. And so I'll post a link in the chat, but it's also going to be in the replay, in the FAQ, in the replay. And so I posted a link where you can click to volunteer for a session or for a module. We want folks that are considering becoming module support coaches and assisting in the classroom to volunteer first. Connect, be seen energetically with the lead trainers. Let us see how you interact with students. And then from that list of volunteers, we will look for module support coaches. And we have module support coaches in in-person locations that we're actively looking for. So if you reside in Atlanta, Austin, Los Angeles, New York, we would love to expand that team. And we'll provide more information in the frequently asked questions after the webinar.
Yeah. And we have just a couple minutes remaining here. John, I see we're getting a question. How does one join the Conscious community? That has been posted a number of times in the Facebook community with the links to get to Conscious community. Perhaps we have Elise here online. Perhaps you can post a link for us here, Elise, and or there you go. Ask and you shall find. So there's the link to iPEC conscious-community.mn.co, and you can register there. You can check it out and see what you think there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll probably have time for one more here.
And Jesse asked if we knew when the 3 intensive weeks will fall. Orientation starts on the 7th of July. And when you're looking at the intensive weeks, during the months of July and August, that's where we're doing all of our foundation pieces. And so remember, this is a full-time commitment Monday through Friday. And with the exception of in July, a weekend where you might be observing a module, and so you can see the curriculum in action. We have the expectation that all leads in training be available Monday through Friday. So those will fall during those weeks across those 2 months, because those are the real foundational pieces before they start teaching in the classrooms starting in September.
Yeah. And the last question we'll take here live, John. Desiree is asking, will you let us know if we did not make it past the video step? So anyone that is not called for an interview, yes, you'll receive a note from our folks in Human Resources that let you know, thank you for your time and your submission. And we hope to see you on a future, at a future time, if it wasn't right for this time. And so, yeah, you'll absolutely get a response from our human resource team for sure. Yeah.
And what's really cool is we've had some applicants in the past that are amazing coaches, and maybe they weren't a perfect fit for a lead trainer role, but amazing fits for a mentor coach. And so we'll reach out to you and see if that's something that might be of interest, if there's a possible fit that's there as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're always hiring mentor coaches. We hire success coaches on a regular basis. We're always looking for folks that help in the classroom in other capacities other than lead trainer. Our lead trainer team is a very small team when you look at the overall size of our community in that. And so it's not for everyone. It's a small group, but nevertheless, there are other opportunities within faculty. So thanks for mentioning that, John. And that's a wrap for questions. We just want to thank everybody for being here with us today, for all of your engaging questions. Again, we have some frequently asked questions that will be posted after the fact, and you can pick those up in addition to those questions that we've answered live here. But thanks again for your participation, and we'll look forward to seeing those of you interested in your applications and videos coming through soon.
All right. Great to see everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
For joining us. Take care.
Thanks, Elise.
Thank you.